See, this is weird because I don't like labels, and you're coming across sounding like a liberal cynic, and I'm coming across sounding like a hopeful conservative, and I hate any labels, and those are just mixed-match weirdo labels.
Yeah, but the labels have some validity to it. Everything has a grain of truth to it.
Oh, absolutely, but I think another big thing that is an illusion is that there's this grand scheme, and that there's some people with me in the dark room that are making decisions or ruling our lives. I'm not writing that off completely, but I think it could be just that, some things happen because people are lazy, because they're this, because they're that. I think some things aren't as maniacal.
It doesn't have to be maniacal to simply not want the status quo to go away because you're profiting from it. And if you just look at, Corrections Corporations of America at their stock closing price today, that says a lot.
Oh, I completely agree with you there. I don't think that should be an industry. I don't think that should be a source of profit. I don't think it should. I think, in fact, quite the opposite. I think it should not cost money. I think there should be a way, like, it may be not popular, maybe I'm thinking of something that's long ago, but when prisoners worked and helped sustain the cost of being there, I thought that was a much better model.
It may be a better model until all the jobs are sent overseas, and now you have prisoners competing with what used to be union positions for good-paying jobs. You go to Home Depot, all the wooden tables are made by prisoners at 21 cents an hour.
Huh. I didn't know that. I knew sooner or later something would come out of your cake hole that was knowledge. And I knew. It just took 34 years. I waited. I'm a patient man.
If you want to look at the absurdity of this country, great example. They talk about the guy in Las Vegas that shot up the concert venue as to how many guns he had and his access to guns. Yet our military keeps building nuclear weapons, although it's already been figured that we could destroy the world, 1 million times over?
Yeah, it's some absurdist number, but that's also that's because it's men making decisions and having to compete with each other, and that's kind of like that, that's the absurdity of it. And there are no simple solutions, We don't have the answers. Nobody has the answers, so they would have revealed them.
The old adage that says that fools are full of confidence and intelligent people are full of doubt.
Right. But when you had your event happen that we're dancing around and you went into the incarceration industry, when it happened, you were chasing that buck.
Yeah, I was.
You were chasing it to the point where you're blinded, and it blinded your moral judgment. And the thing is that I remember when it happened, and everybody heard that one of us had been in prison, and I remember that awkward thing where it was, people were trying to find out which one of us it was, and they thought it was me, or they thought it was Donald. They had Larry, and I said, Larry? Larry's the one that did something wrong? Everybody was shocked that it was you.
Well, I know it wasn't until 2 years into my sentence did my mind actually start to be able to absorb the enormity of what had actually happened. When they talk about, the old term was shell shock, now post-traumatic stress syndrome or whatever it is, I definitely dealt with that. Doesn't take away from my guilt. But
your mind has amazing gaps, and I think you were a pioneer. Yeah, you know what you should be? A revisionist historian.
I thought I was for 5 years.
Yeah. But I think back on, we got to talking beforehand on, things that you ruined for me. And I just want to say them and get them out of my system. You ruined Christmas. Guilty or innocent?
Absolutely middle of the road.
No.
I will own ruining marriage for you. That was the big one that you probably discount the most.
Renting.
Renting is ruined for me as having been a landlord.
60s furniture.
Very much understood.
Bells in general.
Absolutely.
And this situation that you created such a catastrophe that I'm going to call you on this now. You put me in a situation where I had to be nice to your mother, and we had to get along, and I had to be nice to Joy, and we had to get along, and that was very uncomfortable for me.
Yeah, but the end of the equation was you and Linda and the friendship that you came from there, you and Frank, and I can't put a price tag on the value that you gave to me to be there for my mother when I was no longer able to.
Yeah, she completely revised history, that she didn't hate me, and that I remember we were sitting down after one of the hearings, and she said, I've always liked you. I was like, oh, come on. That was such revisionist history. But I don't think people realize that when somebody goes into prison that, and I think it hit you because I watched it take its toll on Joy, who is your younger sister. And during that time while you were in there, your parents passed away.
While I was away, my mother, my father, my aunt, my uncle, my older sister, and 3 friends all passed away.
Yeah. And it was just, I guess your parents and Roz were the big ones that just weighed on Joy. And, it's not that it wouldn't happen, but it would have been better if somebody was there for her, because she had to go from being the youngest to take charge. And it's just, people don't realize the impact that when somebody's in jail, right or wrong, that it has on the rest of their family. Oh,
I will take to my grave the guilt of having placed that responsibility on her. I was always the patriarch of the family, not by desire, by the actions of my father, the age of my grandparents.
Or the inactions.
And the inactions, absolutely. And had I not trashed my life when my mother, father, and everyone else had passed away, I would have been the one making all the arrangements. I would have been the one handling all of the little jobs that would have cropped up that needed to be done. And I would have handled it understanding that was my position. I took that role seriously, and it was okay.
But what advice would you give to somebody who has a loved one who's incarcerated?
Ooh. Just that you are still thinking of the person, because time is so different inside prison and outside prison.
How so?
It drags. There is such a routine that, you wake up for standing count. You have 4 standing counts throughout the day. And oftentimes, I was lucky as a diabetic, I was able to go to the infirmary for my insulin. Otherwise, you're staring at the same walls all day long. While I was away, I made a point that I wanted to lose weight. I wanted to go to the exercise yard and work out. And since at one time I was a volunteer police officer, a couple of the guards that knew my background took me aside and said, stay away from the exercise yard, because if anything happens, whether you're involved or not, you're going to catch a charge. And I heeded their advice, and somebody got killed in the exercise yard, and everybody that was in the yard got time added to their sentence. I wouldn't be out here now were I there.
Well, prison and I know this is backwards, but prison, I always felt it saved your life because you weren't taking care of your health, and they force you to take care of your health there. And I think that it's ironic that you went in there, and while you went in there, you got healthier, your health got better. And in that way, I'm not saying what they did for you morally or spiritually because there was nothing there, but I think that your health, I don't think you might have passed away before your parents or your sister or whatever, the way things were going. And while you went in, you lost weight, got healthier. Those of us on the outside, one of our friends in particular, you've switched size. You should ship him all your old clothes, actually. They might be snug.
Well, the other thing is that I was in a very safety sensitive position, and one of the people who worked under me was an alcoholic that I was trying to protect them and protect their job, and that added to my stresses. And when my nightmare occurred, he lost his job. Had my nightmare not occurred, who's to say what would have happened? My blood sugar was through the roof. He could have came in one day drunk, and the next thing you know, we would have made the papers and have taken with us somebody innocent. And that would have been horrific.
When you came through this, you've always been painfully optimistic, and it helps because you've got short-term memory loss, or whatever, and you've got a ability to edit and history that my grandmother would love to have had. And then there's some of us that, like, I painfully remember 90% of the stuff. Some of it I can block out, but to have your ability to block out, it's a gift. It's like Très Magnifique, It
is an absolute blessing. When I was married to my first wife, she had a photographic memory. And I remember an occasion she blew up at me, and after an hour of yelling and screaming, I found out it was something that happened 8 years prior to that just flashed in her mind, and it was as if it just happened.
Yeah. She was quite the example of what men have to sometimes deal with people bringing up stuff out of time and everything. And she was the queen of that. And as much as she was the first one from our group to pass away, as far as I'm concerned. And, as I wish she were still around for me to mock and fight with.
Yeah. I mean, she had incredible generosity. She was a wonderful person, but some of the wiring with that photographic memory was quite difficult to deal with at times. And the old saying, ignorance is bliss. I'll be the first to admit I'm fairly blissful because of my ignorance.
Oh, you're blissful. You are blissful. Did she contact you while you were in prison?
She wrote to me. She contacted me when I got out. And when it was time for sentencing, I had to get letters from associates, family, friends. Her letter, I'm choking up right now, was the one that brought me the most to tears. I haven't seen the letter since I originally read it, and if I had it in front of me now, I know I'd be crying away.
No, I guess that's the definition of really caring, because she didn't want you to fail without her or not. Sue was, she was spiteful and vindictive, but caring. She was a weird mix.
She was. And I think where her and I were opposites, we complemented each other. And I feel immensely guilty at her passing, thinking had I not ended the marriage with her, my nightmare never would have occurred. Her